Welcome back to another daily market update where we discuss all the major dollar pairs and of course gold. I hope you're having a blessed and beautiful morning. If you're watching this, guys, thank you for tuning in. My name is Fabio and we are going to have a look at EURUSD and gold and NZDUSD, GBPUSD, all of them. Now, before we dive in, New York Open, we are going to be going live here on the channel. But before we go live, what I want to say is that during the live stream, we are giving away 3 more $25,000 accounts with a prop firm. If you help us reach that 100,000 subscriber count today during the stream. So remember, get your niece, your uncle, your brother, your sister, your friends, everybody to subscribe, and you have the opportunity to win 3 more funded accounts. We're giving them away inside Discord, so make sure to join the Discord and send proof there. Now, without further ado, EURUSD here on the weekly time frame. So euro dollar itself is currently still bullish, and what I'm looking for is that upside continuation. Euro dollar overall here on the weekly has a fractal low positioned over here and a fractal high positioned over here. Now, if we were to draw a line on those two lows and highs, we can very clearly see that this is your bullish leg. Draw in a premium versus discount tool and you can see that the market retraced into discount, and from there we saw that V-shaped reversal back in towards the upside. Now, since this week we've seen a bullish candle, and I'm looking now for that further upside continuation, because as you guys know, for quite some time I've been calling that this here is the high that I'm targeting. So I want to see that high get taken out as liquidity, and then from there potentially a drop or a push in towards that supply zone, and then a drop, or just a continuation and then a drop. What I'll be doing is I'll be following the overall daily fractal structure to understand if that pullback will come, and I expect the pullback to come from either one of these 3 zones or levels. And then what I'll do is I'll go into the daily and look at that fractal structure like I just said. So that's what I'm looking for on the weekly. Then if I go in towards the daily, what we can see on the daily time frame is that the dollar, or the euro dollar, is still fractal bullish. So remember, yesterday I discussed with you guys that we had a fractal low, which is this black line over here. So this is your market structure low, and this here is your market structure high. Now, overall, looking for that upside continuation. As long as this low over here is respected, we should continue pushing up higher. What you do need to understand that this here is the overall push up. So the pullback essentially on the fractal structure should still commence. Therefore, there is still an opportunity for EURUSD, for example, to come down lower, take out these equal lows, and then, for example, push up higher. So here I'll be happy to get into buys on euro dollar. If we do retrace that deep, then this will definitely be a limit order for myself, something like this into that weekly high again for around a 1 to 3 risk to reward. But does it need to happen? No, because if we look at the lower time frame, we can see that we are still bullish. Going in towards the 4 hour, we can see that yesterday's area of demand did in fact play out, and that there was actually order flow forming over here from this area of demand first of all, and then we had another area of demand over here inside of this imbalance candle. Now remember, I was not personally a very big fan of this area of demand due to the fact that we had a lot of equal lows underneath it. So myself wasn't trading yesterday. I personally was just waiting for the market to give a little bit more form and market structure before getting involved with any potential trades. So what I'm now looking for here on EURUSD, and what we actually did see, was that the overall 1 hour order flow did end up being bullish, because we can see that we broke market structure in towards the upside over here, and then we saw another retest of that overall demand zone with that wick over here, which you could have potentially entered on. Now, obviously not the best risk to reward, because let's say you do enter on top of that area of demand, stop loss underneath the lows. Yeah, what would you have had? Yeah, like a 1-to-1. Obviously, yes, you could have gained some profits, but personally not very interesting. Going into the 15-minute time frame, there was also not very clean price action, I would say. Nothing that I'm really a big fan of. Yes, we had like some demand over here, but then again, we liquidated the lows. So overall, a little bit of a dirty price action in my personal opinion. Zooming out again, you can kind of see that we're to some extent kind of stuck inside of this range over here. Before that it was this range, but now it's kind of like this range over here. But ultimately, when the lower time frame is ranging, you want to look at the higher time frame, and then when I look at the higher time frame, I understand, okay, the weekly fractal is bullish, daily fractal is bullish. So I'm personally just interested still in that further upside. Could we see short-term downside? Definitely yes, still very possible. I'll just look for all of these lows to get taken out, and then we will go long. Remember, on the daily fractal structure, this is then just simply where I'm going to be placing limit orders. But does the market need to retrace? I know why, because the 4 hour is still bullish. Fractal wise, what I'm now looking at is that we have this area of fire demand over here, and we have a liquidity low positioned over here. So let's say we take out that liquidity low, I'll be looking for longs on the market structure shift inside of that demand zone. if we push down lower and we take out all of those equal lows over there, then I'll just be simply looking for another long like this. So these are kind of like the long positions that I'm looking at for now on EURUSD. Does it need to retrace into either one of the zones? No, it does not, because again, we are kind of reacting to this imbalanced candle over here. So what I'll also be keeping an eye on is what if the order flow just continues up higher. I'll be looking at the 15-minute time frame, and then on the 15-minute we can see that it's a little bit ugly price action, but I want to break this high over here. So for now we kind of have like this demand zone, then we have this demand zone, and you kind of want to break that high again, and then you want to have another demand zone. Like you want to have that order flow continuation up higher. So that's what I'm now looking for. So if you do want to get that intraday trade, just wait for this high to break over here. If you want to trade one time frame higher, then I would wait for this area of refined demand to get hit, and then wait for the market structure shift inside of there. Okay, so mainly still interested in those dollar shorts. If we look at the dollar itself, the dollar is consolidating on the 4-hour time frame. If we look over here, we can very clearly see that we're stuck inside of this box again. So this is always a little bit more complicated price action, as instead of getting like a nice ascending correction with very clear market structure, we're now just moving in between highs and lows, right? So it always gets a little bit complicated when we have this kind of price action. Myself, what I am looking at for the day ahead is still that I'm interested in for the downside if I look at the daily. So I'm not very interested in looking at the lower time frame on the dollar, because if I look at the lower time frame, not very clean. We can kind of see that we've got this squeezing price action in towards the downside, which is often a potential sign for a reversal. But yeah, I mean, we need to break these lows. If we break those lows, then we'll just start dumping again. If we break this high, we could see a higher retracement. So I'm pretty much just waiting, actually. I'm being a little bit patient. So what I'll do is I'll just wait for this high to break or for this low to break. If this low breaks over here, then I'll have much more conviction that we're ready to hit that 105.420, okay? So that's it for the dollar. I'm not going to really go too much in depth on that. Looking at AUDUSD next, we can see that AU is very weak at the moment. Overall, what happened is that we broke the daily fractal low over here, which is always kind of like a bearish sign. But as you guys know from yesterday's live session, or from yesterday's daily market outlook, I mentioned that I wanted to see kind of like the low grabbed and then a potential reversal. So that's pretty much what I'm still looking for. Still interested in that further upside due to the fact that I expect the dollar to push down lower. And in addition to that, if we again zoom out, so when the lower time frame is looking a little bit messy, then you understand, aha, the weekly fractal structure is still very bullish. Because if I look here at the weekly fractal structure, what you can see is that this here is your weekly fractal high, this here is your weekly fractal low, this here is your area of demand. Have we tapped into that weekly demand zone? No, not yet. So there is still some room for some further downside here on Aussie dollar. And then also if we look at premium versus discount, you also see aha, we have not hit the 50% level yet on the weekly. So there is still potential for further downside. Therefore, you need a little bit more confirmation before going long. So it was good that we waited for this liquidity sweep to happen. Therefore, I am actually still favoring just a little bit more of a move down in towards this daily demand zone. Ideally, that would be met, and then we look for some longs again. Or what I do is I stick here to the 4-hour, and then I wait for the market structure to shift. So what I mean with the market structure to shift is I wait for the fractal structure to shift. So yesterday, this was the fractal high. I put an alert on it. I was waiting for it to break. And now this here is your 4-hour fractal high. And I'm now waiting for it to break. So what I can see here is that the order flow is in towards the downside. So order flow. And then again, here we have the order flow. And then again, here we have the order flow. So the overall order flow is bearish. Buys before the sells are currently in control. And I'm now just simply following that down lower. So as long as the supply zones remain in control, keep on shorting it. And then once you break this line over here, that is when I'll be interested in getting in longs after potentially liquidating these lows. Okay, so waiting for that 4-hour fractal structure to shift until getting into longs. Until then, shorts are definitely valid, maybe in towards that daily area of demand that I just mentioned and that weekly demand zone as well. Going into GBPUSD, we can see that GBPUSD is still holding relatively strong. From a daily candle close perspective, yesterday we closed bullish. The daily fractal structure is bullish. So we have, this is the fractal low, this is the fractal high. So overall we are bullish here on GBPUSD on the daily. And what I'm now looking still for is for the weekly to push up higher in towards that little bump in the road here. So still looking for that to get taken out. Then if we dive into the 4-hour time frame, we can see though that it is a little bit messy, but overall some nice price action. What we had yesterday was indeed this demand zone that pushed the market up higher as expected. Yeah, I mentioned that in yesterday's market outlook that we were looking for longs from this demand zone if we would see a market structure shift. So we indeed got that market structure shift, and this is kind of what I wanted to see actually. I think it was on euro dollar. Here we have the demand zone, and then right above that demand zone we have this liquidity low. So you can see pretty much the liquidity low gets taken out, and then we tap into demand, and then from there, boom, we start pushing. So now you could potentially see some further upside from GBPUSD. However, do keep in mind that it is not the cleanest of pairs, but it is looking good for some further upside in my opinion. What I'm looking for now is just a 50-minute order flow to start holding. So now we have this demand zone in control, and just follow demand up higher is my opinion. But yeah, I don't personally like to trade GU at the moment, so I'm going to personally stay out of it. But I do like what we're seeing here from a fractal structure perspective and from a demand perspective, where for me it is clear that for now demand is in control. So we had demand zone number 1, and now we have demand zone number 2. And if you also look at the daily time frame, we have fractal structure that is in control on the daily. And if you also look at daily demand, then you can very clearly see that the sell before the big buy up is this over here, and that is also daily demand that is in control. So a lot of demand on GBPUSD, therefore not interested in shorts at all, and expecting this demand zone over here to push the market up higher as we're currently doing. So let's keep an eye on that. Then we go into NZDUSD. So NZDUSD, I'm still in a long position. It is still very, very slow overall. It's very similar to AUDUSD. The fractal high is now shifted to this high, and I'm now waiting for that high to get broken. For now, obviously, very clear, the overall order flow is bearish, so it's not good to look for longs yet. Here we have this, here we have this, here we have this. So we have supply, so we have buy before the sell, buy before the sell, buy before the sell. So it's like literally like a downtrend that we have here internally, right? Because this is my swing low, this is my swing high, and now we have the internal downtrend. So now if you want to understand when the market is ready to start pushing up higher, what do? You wait for the market structure shift. So we now wait for this black line here to break. If that line were to break, then what happens is that we form a new area of demand on the sell before the buy. That is then going to be the moment I'm going to be looking for potential skill in on NZDUSD overall, like this, back up in towards the highs. So why am I looking for a long on NZDUSD? Well, because NZDUSD is fractal bullish here on the weekly time frame. We can again very clearly see that we have a sell before the buy over here. And again, we already tapped into that sell before the buy. So the weekly fractal structure is bullish. We still have room to push into weekly supply over here. We're reversing pretty much from nothing. I want to take out this internal high and then tap into that weekly supply zone. Then I go into the daily, and then on the daily as well, what we can see here is that the daily fractal is bullish from where? From this low in towards this high. So again, interested in that further upside swing. Yeah, again, this is also a very nice trade here. Ultimately, for us, I think we're currently trading at around the 0.7 fib retracement level. Let's see. Yeah. So we're around the 0.7 fib retracement, which a lot of traders call the OTE. So a nice retracement in towards the downside. I'm now just waiting for that 4-hour fractal shift because I'm already in a swing position. I'm just waiting for that 4-hour fractal structure shift to get into a higher probability play and yeah, not fight kind of like the internal trend that we're currently seeing. So I am waiting, guys. I'm waiting patiently for the market structure to shift in towards the upside, and then I'll get into a long. So waiting for that line to break. And then we have, of course, gold last of all. So gold itself here has pushed and broken out in towards the downside. Yeah, it is, or it was consolidating obviously inside of this over here. So we use the range trading tool, and now you can see that indeed at some point in time you see a lot of volume come in after kind of like the range stops and then in either direction. So it's kind of like a little bit of a gamble, but overall at the moment on gold, I'm just not a fan of it. I'm looking for shorts sometime soon. If I'm very honest, looking here at the daily fractal structure, we've seen a daily structure shift here on the change of character side of things. So this is now the supply zone that is in control. Look, so in these kind of situations, I've seen it before where you get a daily fractal structure shift and then it just again reverses back in towards the highs. It kind of like fakes sellers in. So that's sometimes a little bit of a tricky thing and a trap. But again, a look and zoom out and follow your plan, because overall we're very bullish. Is this one fractal structure shift going to now push the market down lower? Could be. We still have a lot of liquidity underneath all of these lows. So I would like to see a deeper correction on gold if I look at this. But what I'll probably do is I'll wait for some clean price action. For now, supply is here in control. So we have the daily supply, then we have a 4-hour supply.
I then look at the 1 hour time frame, and what I see is that there's no liquidity in the overall push down. So for myself to get a valid setup, I would at least need to liquidate this high over here and then get a 1 hour change of character, and then I would look for short-term shorts back down in towards the lows. Okay, so that's kind of like the trade that I'm eyeing up on gold. So that's it for today, guys. Thank you so much. So yeah, see you with the New York live stream here on YouTube. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure to leave a like, and see you soon.